Welcome. This is a lecture series. Please make sure you have your papers and pencils ready to go to take notes. I will ask you to pause the video and you can write down what's on the screen. Let's get started. Today we're discussing Oklahoma Academic Standard 8.5.R.4. That's for 8th grade, Standard 5, Reading Point 4. This standard reads, students will recognize the subject and verb agreement and correct as necessary. Please pause the video and write down what this standard is about. This is going to be a review of what subject and verb agreements are. This is something that you would have learned before 8th grade. So what is a subject? As a reminder, it's a person, place, or thing that your sentence is about. If you're not familiar with what a subject is, please pause the video and write down this definition so you can refer back to it later. What is a verb? We have different kinds of verbs here. Let's look at the different kinds we have. We have a main verb. That tells what the subject does or links the subject to another word that describes it. We have the action verb. That shows the action the subject is performing. We also have a linking verb that connects the subject to words that describe it. Then we also have helping verbs. That joins the actions to the form or the complete verb. Please pause the video and write down the definitions of these 4 types of verbs. Remember, our standard is asking us to recognize the subject and verb agreement. So, what is a subject-verb agreement? This is when the subject and verb agree or match in number. If you have a singular subject, then you have to have a singular verb. If you have a plural subject, then you must have a plural verb. Please pause the video and write down the definition of subject-verb agreement. Let's look at some quick hints here. The subject, singular form, does not end in an S. A plural form does end in an S. And we have the examples. For instance, the dog barks at every sound he hears. Or the dogs bark at every sound they hear. So the subject has to meet with the singular form and the plural form so the subject and verb match together. In the verb, singular form ends in an S. The dog barks at every sound it hears. The plural form does not end in an S. The dogs bark at every sound they hear. So these are some quick hints to determine on the singular and plural forms for the subject and for the verb. Please pause the video and write down the definitions and the examples to help you whenever you have assignments. Best practice advice. Read what you wrote out loud. As I've mentioned in previous videos, when you do daily reading and writing, you do practice that helps you to become a stronger writer and stronger reader. Sometimes we may not be able to memorize some of these grammatical rules, but the more we read, the more familiar we become with what is an appropriate language and what does sound right. If we read what we wrote out loud, then it's going to help us to ensure that what we wrote is correct. So this standard of 8.5.R.4, it reads, students will recognize the subject and verb agreement and correct as necessary. Please review your notes if you need to whenever you have an assignment, and practice these skills from the assignments that your teacher or parent gives to you, and then take an assessment to ensure mastery of the skill. Thank you for joining me today.